Welcome to the True Tomorrows podcast. Are you ready for another weekly science fiction probe?
I know I am.
Each week, we take wild galactic tales, ripped right from the pages of flash fiction,
Yeah.
and then we try to make them feel like blockbuster sci-fi films.
Or those epic short stories, the best-selling ones.
Exactly. And this time, we've got not one, but two thrilling stories for you.
Buckle up.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild ride.
I think our listeners are going to love this.
First up is Space Samurai. And you actually shared this flash fiction story with us.
Oh, yeah, this one's awesome.
And we're going to really unpack the core of Kaito's journey as Kaito of the Void, right?
Yeah, what happens when you take ancient warrior traditions and then just, bam,
oh, yeah,
slam them head first into the future.
I love it.
It's a cool concept.
Okay, so then we'll shift gears to Space Minotaur, which is, talk about gripping, right?
Yeah, this one's a page-turner.
Genetic engineering, rebellion, and the search for freedom, all inside this massive labyrinth space station.
You said it. We're going deep into the making of Toron,
Totally. Two totally different stories, but
I think you'll find that they both explore these timeless classic themes, but, in a uniquely sci-fi kind of way.
I'm excited to jump in.
Me too. Let's do it.
Okay. So Space Samurai, right off the bat, we're on Kaito's ship, the Ronin's Whisper. And there he is, long hair, styled in that, that ancestral way. But then he's also decked out in this, advanced lightweight armor. And it's got all these battle scars on it. Oh, and of course, he's got his ancient katana, forged from some kind of cosmic alloy, no less. So what do you think? What does that image right off the bat tell us about Kaito?
Well, it's that contrast, right?
Yeah.
You've got the traditional samurai look, but then, bam, high tech.
Yeah.
So it tells us a lot about who Kaito is. He respects the old ways but lives in the future. And those battle scars. On that advanced armor, that says he's been through some stuff.
Yeah.
He's not just playing dress up,
Right. So then things really get going when Kaito gets this coded message. And it's meant for the noble houses of Bushido Prime.
Ooh.
And it hints at some betrayal, right? And it tells him to go seek the truth in the ruins of Xanthir.
The ruins of Xanthir. Sounds ominous.
Totally. Why do you think this is a good way to start his journey?
Well, I think it's the mystery, right?
Yeah.
Coded message. It just draws you in. And the fact it's for the noble houses, well, that means there's some high-level stuff going down.
Yeah.
Some serious power plays. And then Xanthir, right, it's like the opposite of Bushido Prime and Kaito's whole background. So we know things are going to get interesting.
Absolutely. And then we have Xanthir, which is like this dangerous space station, right? Carved straight out of an asteroid, a real, den of iniquity. So different from the world of Bushido Prime and Kaito's upbringing. What does that setting bring to the story, do you think? It's like a symbol, right? It shows how even a supposedly honorable society can get corrupted.
Yeah.
I mean, you drop Kaito with his strict code of honor into this lawless place, and bam, instant tension. How's he going to find the truth in a place that doesn't care about truth?
Right.
It's a great challenge for him.
So Kaito ends up in this super shady, dimly lit tavern, classic sci-fi trope, right?
Love it.
And he meets his old contact, Jorak.
Jorak, okay.
And Jorak gives him this warning. He says, some truths are better left in the shadows. And then he hands Kaito this dated chip. Talk about cranking up the suspense.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like, what's on that chip? Why is it so dangerous?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think Jorak's role is in all this?
I think he's like that classic informant archetype,
Oh, yeah.
He's got all the dirt on the underworld. He's seen things. And his warning to Kaito, it's not just for show. It means the information Kaito's after is seriously dangerous. And that data chip, it's like the key to unlocking it all. Okay, but then the story takes this really unexpected turn. Kaito finds himself in this abandoned sector of Xanthir, and he encounters an ancient samurai spirit.
Whoa.
Yeah, and suddenly, it's not just about avenging his clan anymore.
Oh.
The spirit tells him his destiny is tied to this, huge cosmic threat.
That escalated quickly.
And the spirit tells him the fate of the galaxy rests on the edge of your blade.
I mean, that's intense, right?
Yeah, it totally changes things. It takes the story from a personal revenge tale to something much better.
Yeah.
Like galaxy-saving stuff. The samurai spirit adds this whole layer of mythology, like it's fate or something. Kaito's not just fighting for himself anymore. He has to save everyone. It adds so much weight to his actions.
It's a big responsibility.
It's huge.
So Kaito's got to face this cosmic threat, right?
Right.
But it's not easy.
What happens?
He ends up on this remote mining planet and faces off against these syndicate agents.
Okay.
And even though he's an incredible swordsman, they've got all this advanced tech, right?
Yeah, so...
He gets defeated for the first time. Oh, wow. He's not invincible. That's actually kind of refreshing.
Totally. It makes him more human, more relatable. What do you think this defeat does for him as a character?
It shows that even with all his skill, he can't just rely on old-school methods. He has to adapt.
Right.
This is the future. And he needs to find a way to combine his traditional training with the technology of his time.
I mean, it's a good lesson for all of us, right?
Definitely. Never stop learning.
So Kaito needs to find a way to fight back against the Syndicate, and he finds this rebel base.
Oh, cool. Where is it?
It's hidden away in an asteroid field, and there he meets Lyra. She's one of the leaders there, and she's fierce.
Okay, fierce is good.
They both hate the Syndicate, but it seems like they have really different ideas about how to fight them. Lyra even asks him, what makes you think you can defeat them? What did you make of that dynamic?
That's that classic clash of styles, right?
Brutally.
Lyra's a pragmatist. She's seen how tough the Syndicate is. Kaito's got that honor thing driving him, but he might be a little too idealistic. It creates this tension, you know?
Yeah.
Can they find a way to work together?
Yeah, that's the question.
Plus, it makes you think, what's the best way to fight for what you believe in? Is it brute force, or is it something more?
I like it. So they hatch this plan to infiltrate the Syndicate's stronghold.
Nice.
Which is, of course, orbiting a dying star.
Very dramatic.
I know, right? But, of course, it's a trap.
Oh, no.
And the rebels start getting picked off one by one. It's pretty devastating.
I bet. What does this tell you about the kind of enemy they're facing?
It shows just how powerful and ruthless the Syndicate is. They're not messing around, and it raises the stakes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Kaito and his allies are really putting everything on the line.
Definitely.
And then comes the worst part. The Syndicate's leader shows up, and guess what?
Who is it? Don't leave me hanging.
It's one of Kaito's former brothers-in-arms, completely twisted and corrupted by power. And he taunts Kaito, saying, your honor and your codes are relics, just like you.
Ouch. That's gotta hurt. A betrayal like that cuts deep.
It does. What do you think this betrayal adds to the story?
It makes it personal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about fighting some abstract enemy anymore. It's about confronting someone Kaito used to trust, someone who shared his values.
Yeah.
And now that person is using those values against him.
Right.
It makes the conflict so much more intense and tragic.
It's a real gut punch. So Kaito's captured and thrown in prison. It's a dark moment.
Yeah, I bet. Does he give up?
Nope, not Kaito. He meditates and finds a new resolve.
Okay, that's interesting. What do you think that says about his character?
It shows how disciplined and strong he is, even when everything seems hopeless.
Yeah.
It's that samurai spirit, right?
Yeah.
His honor and his code aren't just words. They're part of who he is. They're what keep him going, even in the darkest times.
That's powerful. So how does he get out of prison?
Well, this other rebel faction attacks the prison.
Oh, wow. A lucky break.
It's chaos. It gives Kaito the chance to escape. What do you think this unexpected rescue adds to the story?
It shows that the resistance is bigger than we thought. It gives Kaito some hope, too. He's not alone in this fight.
And it leads us to this awesome confrontation. Kaito faces off against the Syndicate leader, and the leader's still totally dismissive, saying, you cannot win, you are a relic. But Kaito has a powerful response. Why is this first clash so important, do you think?
It shows that the fight is about more than just power.
Okay, explain that.
It's about ideas.
Yeah.
The leader represents this, heartless pragmatism. He's abandoned the old ways for power. But Kaito, he shows that honor and tradition still matter. It's like a battle for the soul of their society.
Ooh, nice. But just when it looks like Kaito might win, the leader does something desperate. He activates the self-destruct.
Oh, talk about a twist.
Kaito barely makes it out alive, and the rebel attackers rescue him. Talk about a close call.
I know, right?
So how does the space samurai flash fiction story end?
Give me the ending.
Kaito reflects on his journey. He's avenged his clan, but now he's fighting for something even bigger. He's become a symbol of resistance for the whole galaxy.
That's a great arc for him. He starts out wanting revenge, but then he realizes there's something more important.
And what about the traitor, the former brother-in-arms?
Right.
What about him? It sounds like their fight's not over. This is just the beginning.
Awesome.
Okay, now for something completely different. Let's dive into Space Minotaur.
Bring it on.
This time we're on this space station called the Labyrinth. And we're introduced to Dr. Daedalus, who's this, scientist with some pretty questionable ethics.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
He's created Tauron.
Tauron.
And Tauron's this incredible being. He's huge, a fusion of human and bull with armor-like skin that glows with these patterns. Oh, and he's got these intelligent, piercing eyes. What's your first impression of Tauron?
He sounds intimidating.
Totally.
But there's something more to him, right?
Yes. It's not just the physical description.
What is it?
There's a hint of, sadness in his eyes, like he's longing for something.
Interesting. So what's the deal with this Dr. Daedalus?
Well, he's got some complicated feelings about Tauron.
How so?
He created Tauron, but he also seems to be afraid of him.
Right.
And then there's this warlord who wants to use Tauron as a weapon.
A weapon. That's messed up.
It is. And that's what kicks off the central conflict of the story. Is Tauron just a tool, or is he something more?
It's a classic sci-fi question, right? What does it mean to be human? Especially when you're talking about something that's been engineered,
Totally. And it's not just theoretical. Tauron is trapped in this labyrinth space station.
Okay, so it's a real labyrinth.
It is, and he's subjected to this intense training.
By the warlords.
Yeah. But in the midst of all this, we see him staring out at the stars, Like he's longing for something more.
Wants to escape.
Exactly. What do you think these moments add to our understanding of Tauron?
They show us he's not just some mindless beast, right?
Yeah.
He has thoughts and feelings. He yearns for something beyond his confinement. It makes you root for him.
It really does. Then we're introduced to Icarus. He's Dr. Daedalus' son.
Okay, interesting.
And unlike everyone else, he doesn't treat Tauron with fear.
How so?
He's curious about him. He wants to understand him. And they have this conversation where Tauron tells him about his dreams of freedom.
Well, that's big.
Yeah.
What does Icarus represent for Tauron?
He represents hope and connection. He's the first person who actually sees Tauron for who he is,
Yeah. And that conversation about freedom, it plants a seed in Tauron's mind. It makes him believe that escape is possible.
And he starts planning. He uses everything he's learned during his training to plot his escape. It's not just about brute force. He's got a strategy.
That shows how intelligent he is. He's more than just a powerful creature. He can think for himself, make plans. It makes him even more dangerous to the warlord.
Right. So how does he actually break free?
Tell me.
It's awesome. He overpowers his guards, sets off the alarms, and just unleashes his full power as he fights his way through this massive labyrinth.
Whoa.
He's unstoppable. He's like a force of nature.
That sounds so cool.
It is. He makes it to the hangar, steals a shuttle, and blasts off into space. And as he escapes, Dr. Daedalus says this: "What have we unleashed?"
Ooh, chills. What do you think that question means?
It shows how little they understood Tauron, right? They thought they could control him, but they were wrong. And now they have no idea what he's capable of. That's a pretty terrifying thought.
So where does Tauron go?
He ends up at this rough asteroid belt outpost, It's full of outlaws and smugglers. And of course, when he shows up, everyone freaks out.
I bet. So that every day you see a Minotaur walk into your space bar. What kind of challenges do you think he faces there?
Well, he's an outsider, right? Different from everyone else. So he's met with fear and suspicion. He's got to prove himself if he wants to survive in that world.
It's like he escaped one prison only to end up in another.
It's true. But then he meets this pilot named Zara. She's a smuggler.
Okay, so how does she react to him?
At first, she's cautious, like everyone else.
Right.
But Tauron pleads with her, saying, "Help me fight those who fear what they do not understand."
Ooh, that's a good line. What do you think it is about that plea that gets to Zara?
I think she knows what it's like to be an outsider, to be judged for who you are.
Yeah, she gets it. They're both fighting for their place in the galaxy.
And that's the foundation of their partnership. It's not just about convenience. It's about understanding.
So what happens next?
Well, the Warlord's forces attack the outpost.
Oh, no.
Yep, they're looking for Tauron, and Tauron and Zara are forced to fight side by side.
Awesome.
They barely manage to escape in Zara's ship, and as they're flying away, Zara says, "You bring hope."
That's a turning point, right?
Totally. Tauron's not just fighting for himself anymore. He's become a symbol of resistance, of hope for others who are oppressed. It's a huge shift for his character.
Just like his destiny is unfolding,
It is, but as Tauron's legend grows, the danger increases. The Warlord is determined to hunt him down.
It makes sense. He's a threat.
What impact do you think this constant pursuit has on Tauron?
It probably forces him to become even stronger and more resourceful.
Yep.
He's got to be constantly on guard, always thinking ahead. And it probably reinforces his commitment to fighting for freedom, right? He sees how widespread the oppression is.
It's not just about him anymore. It's about everyone suffering under the Warlord's rule.
Exactly. Okay, so what happens next?
This is getting good.
Okay, so Toron hears about this planet that's under siege by the Warlord.
Okay.
And he can't just stand by and do nothing, so he decides to help.
He goes to defend the planet.
He does. But it's a trap.
Of course it is.
And Toron comes face to face with this monstrous creature.
What kind of creature?
It's another one of Dr. Daedalus's creations.
Oh, what?
It's like a dark mirror of Toron himself.
That's heavy.
It is. And their battle is epic. It's not just about physical strength, but about morality, too.
What do you mean?
They were both created to be weapons, right?
But Toron chose a different path. He chose to fight for freedom, for good. This other creature, though, it embraced its darker side. It became the monster Daedalus intended. So their fight is about what it means to be free, to make your own choices.
Wow, that's really profound. So who wins?
Toron wins, but it's a bittersweet victory.
How so?
He sees himself in this other creature, you know? He understands its pain, and he says this really powerful line, "In this battle, I did not just face an enemy. I faced myself."
That's a gut punch.
Yeah.
What do you think he means by that?
He realizes that he could have easily become that monster,
Yeah.
that the potential for darkness is inside all of us, but it's our choices that define who we are.
So he chooses to be the hero.
He does.
Yeah.
And his legend continues to grow. He becomes a symbol of hope for the entire galaxy, a beacon of resistance against the Warlord's tyranny.
Okay, so final showdown.
Absolutely. The final battle takes place at the Warlord's fortress.
Let's do this.
Before heading into battle, Toron says, "Today, I end this for all of us." What does that tell you?
He's not just fighting for himself. He's fighting for everyone who's been hurt by the Warlord.
It's the culmination of his whole journey, right?
Yeah, he started as a prisoner,
Yeah.
and now he's leading the charge for freedom.
And the battle is insane. There's this huge space fight, and then Toron leads the assault on the fortress.
He faces the Warlord.
He does. It's this epic one-on-one duel. But even though the Warlord is defeated, Dr. Daedalus does something crazy.
What does he do?
He activates the fortress's self-destruct.
What? Is everyone okay?
Toron barely manages to escape with Zara's help.
Another close call.
Yeah, they're a good team.
They are. So how does this all end?
The Warlord is dead, but Toron knows the fight for freedom isn't over.
It's a realistic ending, right?
Yeah. There's still a lot of work to be done.
It's not a fairy tale.
But there's hope. Toron is out there, symbol of resistance, a beacon of light in a dark galaxy.
That's a powerful image.
All right, so those were our two incredible flash fiction stories, Space Samurai and Space Minotaur.
Both packed with action, betrayal, and the fight for freedom.
What did you think?
I loved them. What about you?
I loved them too. They were so much fun to unpack.
They were. Okay, so let's talk about Space Samurai first.
Yeah.
What did you think of Kaito's journey? I mean, he goes from seeking revenge for his clan to, like, saving the entire galaxy.
It's amazing. What stood out to you?
I loved how he never abandoned his honor. Even in the face of all that futuristic technology, he found a way to combine the old ways with the new. It's like a reminder that our values matter no matter what the world throws at us. What about you?
Totally. For me, it was how Kaito never gave up. Even when he was defeated, even when he was betrayed, he found a way to keep going.
Yeah, he did. That's inspiring.
It is. Okay, now on to Space Minotaur. Toron's story is so powerful. He starts out as this experiment, a weapon. But then he breaks free and becomes a symbol of hope for the whole galaxy.
I know. What did you think of his relationship with Icarus?
Oh, that was so important. Icarus was the first person who saw Toron for who he truly was. And that gave Toron the strength to fight for his freedom.
Yeah, their connection was beautiful.
What about that final confrontation with Daedalus's other creation, the creature that was like Toron's dark mirror?
That was intense.
Yeah.
It made you think about the choices we make, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we all have the potential for good and evil inside us, but ultimately, it's our choices that define who we are.
Exactly.
And I loved how Toron chose hope, chose to be better.
Me too. Okay, so these flash fiction stories are just a taste of these awesome, sprawling universes. It makes you wonder what happens next, right?
Really.
What's going on in those other corners of the galaxy? Will Kaito defeat the Syndicate once and for all? What will Toron's future hold as he fights for freedom? I need more.
Don't we all?
All right, so we want to hear from you. Tell us what stood out to you from these science fiction
What
probes.
resonated with you? What are your theories?
And don't forget to rate and follow the True Tomorrow's podcast,
Yeah, we drop new episodes every week.
so you can get your fix of those captivating, mind-blowing sci-fi tales.
We'll take you to those true tomorrows.
Until next time, keep looking up.